Yeah. Good drive down? Did you have easy drive? Ah, I'll have one for you if you need it. Hey, Teresa, is that you?
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Hey, good morning. We have a couple of the applicants and one member here so far, so I'll let you know once we hit a quorum.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
Hi, Jonathan. I just wanted to make sure, did you guys start the meeting yet?
We are about to begin.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 9th Ag Preserve Advisory Committee meeting. And we'll go start through our agenda. Do we have roll call, please?
Yes, good morning. I'm gonna be joining remotely, but so I'm gonna start with Matt Mayton,
Here.
David Lackey,
Here.
Royce Larson,
Here.
Alex,
Here.
and then Nar or Glenn.
I believe he's not present currently.
Okay. Just let me know when he arrives, please. Thank you.
Okay. So next is opportunity for anybody to make public comments on any item that's not on today's agenda. Don't see anyone here present in the room. Is there anybody online that would like to make a public comment?
I do see someone that has joined us online, but I believe he's an agent, so we do not have any public comment.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then do we have any, as far as agenda management, any requests for continuance or any item that's on today's agenda?
We did not receive any continuance request.
Okay, thank you. So let's consider the unapproved minutes from our meeting of April 11th. Anybody have any comments, suggested edits? All right. Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the meeting of April 11th as presented.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on the minutes?
We do not have any public comment, David.
Okay, thank you. Could we have a roll call, please?
Yes. So Matt Mayton,
Aye.
David Lackey,
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
and then vote carries 4-0 to approve the minutes of April 11th.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Teresa, just for the record, note that Glenn Kennard arrived at 9:06.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's move on to our standard agenda. So our first item is Ballard Ranch LLC. And this was a letter of notice to appear was sent to the property owners to consider ongoing eligibility of the contract. And I believe we have representatives from the property owner here.
There we go. Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephen Peterson with Flowers and Associates. I'm representing the property owner for the Ballard Ranch. He's here today. His name is Mr. Solomon Aryeh. And also today with us, we have the vineyard manager for the property, Mr. Jeff Newton. They're both available to answer questions or talk to you about anything you'd like to hear about. So first I wanted to tell you a little bit about the property and the ag operations that we have ongoing, and then really request your help in allowing us to remain qualified for the Ag Preserve program. Jonathan, if you could put the map up there, please. Great. So the Ballard Ranch actually consists of 3 separate parcels. And I'm going to go up to the screen if that's okay and do a few things. Okay. So we got 3 parcels here. This we refer to as Lot 68 based on the last numbers of its APN. So here's Lot 68. You have Highway 246 running along the south side. Here's the city of Buellton. City of Solvang is down this way. This is Lot 69, which is also part of it. And then right up here is Lot 34. So there's 3 total lots. They total 125 acres. You've got 50 acres, 50 acres, and 25 acres up here. Mr. Aryeh bought the property about 3 years ago, and the Ag Preserve was already set up and in place. And it has Lot 68 on a separate Ag Preserve contract, and Lot 69 on a separate Ag Preserve contract, and Lot 34 up on the top, not in an Ag Preserve contract at all. But in reality, how the property is functioning now and has been for years and years is as a unified agricultural property of 125 acres. And we didn't put on the map what's happening on Lot 34 up top because it's not in the Ag Preserve. But there's 8 acres of vineyard on Lot 34 that's not in the Ag Preserve. And then on Lot 68, you have a combination of vineyard and irrigated pasture, and the same on Lot 69. There's a horse breeding and boarding operation centered on Lot 69, and then the vineyard operation. So you've got 2 different main ag functions here, the horse breeding and boarding facility. There's over 100 horses involved in that. They're boarding, breeding, and training horses. You can see there's a track in the lower right-hand corner of the property for racing and running the horses. And that equestrian operation has existed there for decades. And it mostly is on Lot 69, but also goes across to Lot 68. There's a historic barn and paddocks and stalls throughout the property, as well as irrigated pasture. So this is really a working agricultural property. And as you can see from the map, it's very intensively used agricultural property. In total, speaking of the 3 parcels together, we've got 35 acres of vineyard with a planned additional 9 acres of vineyard to be installed. And we have 21 acres of irrigated pasture. But how they are dispersed across the different parcels ends up making some of the parcels come up short to the Ag Preserve requirements. So we'd like to appeal for your help in how we can best qualify to stay in the program. And Mr. Newton is here and can offer you any details of the vineyard operation that are of interest, or Mr. Aryeh regarding the larger plans for the property. We do have 4 current applications in with the county. One is for a renovation of the existing barn on Lot 69, just to modernize it. One is for 4 ag employee dwelling units on lot 68. One is for a main residence on lot 34 on the mesa with a nice view. And the 4th is for a winery. And that's what we originally came to you for about 6 months ago, was consideration of the winery. But the complication and time and expense of moving 4 different projects through the county approval process at once, the decision was made to put the winery onto the back burner for now and focus on the main residence, the barn renovation, and the ag employee dwellings. So that's why we started off pursuing the winery with you guys and then asked to continue it and table it for a while. We do have, we'll point out the proposed vineyard expansion on lot 68, which is, and that's right here. So on the map that you're looking at, vertical lines are existing vineyard. Horizontal dashed lines are existing irrigated pasture. And diagonal is proposed vineyard. So we have placed the order for the grapes to have this additional proposed vineyard installed. And here's where the winery is going to be. The existing historic barn is here. The home site will be up here on lot 34 on the bluff. The ag employee dwellings are right here. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And we're here to work with you. We want to be in the program. It's a real working ag property. We're just having a little bit of a challenge fitting into some of the regs and what makes us qualify. So we'd appreciate your guidance in how to move forward here. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for that information. And I think before we get into some questions from the committee, I just wanted, so part of the notice to appear referenced the July 2023 APAC meeting in the minutes, where when the Ballard Ranch Winery application was in, that meeting was continued to provide opportunity to provide some additional information that the committee had requested. And so I just wanted to go over that information. So provide the applicant time to provide a map showing more accurate planting and depiction of the existing vineyards, planting plan describing the timing and amount of additional vines to be purchased and timing of vineyard installation. Submit Williamson Act annual questionnaire, a narrative describing how the vineyard and winery installation will affect the principal animal boarding and breeding facility on the adjacent contract, which is contract 16 AP 017, directly to the east. And then include a graphic depiction and calculation of the required minimum 20 acres of irrigated pasture and narrative to confirm the tasks, duties, and responsibilities of the agricultural employees working on contract 16, AP 17 and 18. So I know that as part of your submittal, you provided additional information. Maybe knock off the easy ones first. So Glenn, did you, in our packet, we received copies of the Williamson Act questionnaire, completed Williamson Act questionnaire for contract 17 and 18. And was that received by the assessor's office?
I don't know. I talked to Sergio this week and he didn't indicate that we had received anything for those, so I haven't seen them.
Okay.
I don't know.
So Mr. Peterson, I know you provided us copies. Was that submitted also to the assessor's office?
No, it hasn't been provided to the assessor's office yet because we were thinking that through this meeting, some refinement to those documents might occur, but they're all ready to be turned in.
So they're pending. Okay. And Jonathan, maybe you can bring that map back up. Oh, Teresa, sorry. Thank you. Had a question. So just so I get in straight in my mind. So for our purposes, contract 16 AP018 is the contract that APAC sent a notice to appear on, but well, we will be talking about both of those. So that's the one on the west side. On the very northwest corner where your label has just the APN number and the zoning, what is the ag underneath that area? It's not indicated as irrigated pasture or any vineyard.
Yeah, that area doesn't have any ag on it under that label.
Okay. And then for the hatched area right below that, that's where the proposed vineyard installation. I think you did submit at least an indication of you've done some of the land prep, and that in May, what are the next steps as far as for the vineyard installation?
Yeah, the ripping and the groundwork has already been completed for that 9.48 acre additional vineyard area. And the grapes have been, the vines have been ordered. Next steps will be installing irrigation, which is to occur this month, and installing the trellises next month in June, and then planting the vines in July. That's our intended schedule there. Mr. Newton can provide more detail if you wish.
And the vines have already been purchased? Yes.
So there's going to be Claret and Grenache Blanc vines there. And we can provide the order documentation if you would like.
The nursery is a nursery in Sacramento called Guillaume. And we've spoken to them, made the order.
Okay.
The irrigation system, the engineer's been out, there's the design, and so ready to move forward.
So with the addition of that vineyard, that would put us over the 20 acres of required vineyard on lot 68.
So for lot 68, we'll call it contract 18. Um, Putting aside the winery application, because there's different uniform rules that would apply to the planting on the site, but just looking at what the commercial ag production on contract 18, since it's a 48 acre parcel, it'd have to qualify under the prime contract commercial ag productions, which is 50% of the premises planted in commercial ag production. And so roughly 24 acres. Quick math, I think you would meet that with the proposed vineyard planting, existing vineyard, and then the irrigated pasture. Typically when the committee requests information on a planting plan to ensure that what they say they're going to do, and thank you for the information you did provide, we may also request, once you do receive either the purchase order or a copy of the purchase order, just to confirm that typically that shows that there's skin in the game on both sides, and there's a commitment to move forward with that. So that may be one additional piece of the information that once you do provide that, you could submit. So on contract 18, additional questions from committee members, concerns, comments? I know that sort of this contract is sort of transitioning out of the horse operation, but it still has features of the horse operation, it has the corrals on the property. Is it correct that those corrals are used principally for the horse operation on the adjoining contract 17?
That's right. Yeah, the horse operation is mostly centered on contract 17, which is on the right there. That's where most of that parcel is associated with the horse breeding and boarding and training. And as I mentioned, there's over 100 horses involved with that. But a portion of it does spill over to contract 18. On the left, you can see some corrals. You can see some corrals here, and you can see irrigated pasture here and here. And those areas are leased out by the horse operation. So the horse operation has a lease map that covers most of this parcel and a little bit of that parcel.
And I think that, thank you for pointing out the irrigated pasture, because I think that ties into the questions about contract 17, that presumably looking at most of it, it's going to seek to qualify as a principal animal boarding and breeding facility. And so that the qualifying commercial ag for that use is a minimum of 20 acres of irrigated pasture. But currently, it looks like it's a mix of irrigated pasture and existing vineyards on that property. And I don't think just, on that contract alone, it doesn't look like it has 28 acres. So are you seeking to use the irrigated pasture acreage on contract 17 as additive to the minimum 20 acres for contract 18?
Well, I'm expecting that contract 18 is going to qualify via the vineyard cultivation and having more than half of the property in cultivated ag. And after the installation of the new vineyard, we're going to have 27 acres of cultivated ag on the contract 18. So I think that one will be fine and qualified based on that. Parcel or contract 17 on the right-hand side, there the primary, ag operation is the horse breeding and boarding. And the standard that I'm aware of in the uniform rules is that you need to have 20 acres of irrigated pasture to qualify for that. And we have right now 16.33 acres of irrigated pasture, as is shown on the map. Plus, we have the 10.28 acres of vineyard on that side. So we wonder if credit can be received for the vineyard that exists on contract 17 in combination with the irrigated pasture to qualify us, or what the committee recommends.
So it is a little more complex than that, because for the principal animal boarding and breeding, if you qualify with the 20 acres of irrigated pasture, it's more permissive in terms of the support buildings for that principal animal boarding and breeding. There's an alternative that it's incidental animal boarding and breeding, where the commercial ag is primary and you're allowed to have an incidental animal boarding and breeding. But in that case, it's more restrictive in terms of you're limited to a similar envelope at 3% or 2 acres, whichever is less. So based on the amount of existing buildings and areas and corrals that would already present, I think it exceeds that amount. And so based on the existing infrastructure that I believe originally how it qualified as a principal animal boarding and breeding facility, That's going to influence what the primary use of the property is. And so that's going to be one of the challenges. I don't know if there's additional areas to bring in. You said you think there's about 17 acres of irrigated pasture currently. I don't know if there's additional areas in that, what used to be the track area. If that, it's existing vineyards, but I don't know if there's any other areas on that property that could be brought into irrigated pasture. I think that's one of the considerations that we would look to see. And I'd like to hear from the other committee members on their thoughts.
I have wondered about if we should switch over the contract to make it one all-encompassing contract for all 3 parcels, other than having 2 individual contracts and 1 parcel that doesn't have a contract at all. Because really, the properties are used together and the ag operations move across all the boundaries and scattered across the 3 parcels.
But collectively of all the parcels, I'm just thinking about principal dwellings, not the ag employee dwellings, but how many principal dwellings are there on any of those parcels?
There's 1 existing principal dwelling, which is on the right-hand parcel. It's located right here. That's existing, and it has one of the farm employees currently lives in it. And then we're working through the county approval process for what will be Mr. Aryeh's retirement house for him and his wife. And that's up here.
But that's not under contract.
That's not under contract, but yeah. So just 1 house at the moment. No house on this parcel, 1 house here.
So that obviously would be a consideration. So the uniform rules only allow 1 principal dwelling per contract, regardless of how many parcels you have under that contract. So it doesn't look like it's a problem now, but just thinking forward, in the future, that would be a limitation in terms of the uniform rules. I mean, if this was 1 entire contract, I think it would easily qualify from the commercial ag production. And you still could do it even as a principal animal boarding and breeding facility. Everything else is just additive, all of the vineyards and other thing. It's, uniform supports, that's the main emphasis, is to promote commercial ag production. So if you're doing more than what your initial qualification is, that's great. It may assist with your future winery production, because then you could count, well, either way. I mean, I think it probably doesn't matter too much, but you have a certain minimum amount of vineyards that need to be on the parcel where the winery is located. I think you would probably easily meet that with what you have currently and propose to be planted. Anybody else have any thoughts or concerns if
Well,
it's a single contract?
Question or comment, if the current principal residence, which you said had a ag employee in it, if that became a dedicated ag employee unit, then they could still build another.
Correct. Yeah, it just depends what it may be. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously it was originally probably permitted as a single family dwelling. It may just be, I'm not sure if it's been re-permitted as an ag employee dwelling or just being used as an ag employee dwelling. But yeah, that's correct, Royce.
It's just, hasn't been permitted as an ag employee dwelling. It's permitted as the, principal residence there. And I believe the size of ag employee dwellings is limited, and that house is pretty big. about 2,500 square feet if I remember. So I don't know if we could switch it over to be an ag employee dwelling. So is what I'm hearing that the easiest way for us to qualify is to add some additional irrigated pasture on contract 17. It looks like we're okay on contract 18 as long as we were to provide proof of the installation of that additional vineyard there. But that on lot 17, maybe we need to find some additional area to qualify as irrigated pasture.
That's at least my initial thoughts and concerns. Now, obviously, we're not agendized for, contract 17, but because of the relationship and looking at it, it looks like currently it wouldn't meet the minimum 20 acres of irrigated pasture to qualify to support the principal animal boarding and breeding operation.
Another thought or question, if the lot that is not part of the Williamson Act now joined with just one and not both of the others, then would that make it, you could have more irrigated acres there, or you could have a principal dwelling there, or?
Looks like we got a vineyard there, not irrigated pasture in that parcel. It wouldn't help.
Wouldn't help with the
three-
irrigated pasture.
Yeah, 3 additional acres.
The vineyard on lot 34 is about 8 acres.
There's no irrigated pasture in that parcel 34 at this point.
That's right. It's a real steep hill that goes up from the lower two up there. So the horse operation doesn't go up the hill.
So it looks like getting 3 additional acres approximately into that irrigated pasture would be the easiest way. The other option, probably more complicated, would be consider a lot line adjustment between the two properties, basically to include some of the irrigated pasture if you have on the other side, but that's gonna be costly and probably more complicated.
I think we can look for 3 acres of additional irrigated pasture on the contract 17 property. It used to have it, but it was replaced with vineyard as the agricultural focus has shifted over there. It's moved more toward the vineyard and away from the horses and but I think there's some additional space there that could be put into irrigated pasture.
Any other thoughts, comments? Glenn or Matt?
I guess I don't, seems to me like there's no downside, the possibility of combining the parcels into one contract. Unless you perceive it.
Well, the downside of that I see is Mr. Aryeh's planning is a dream retirement home up on lot 34. And there's already an existing primary residence down there. So if we combine it into one contract, we wouldn't be able to have 2 houses. That's the trick, I think, with combining it.
Just so I'm clear, so lot 34 is the far kind of northeast area?
Yeah, Jonathan, would you mind if I drew on your map? Okay. Whoa, okay. That's lot 34 there. That's the 25 acre lot. And right now, this field and this field has 8 acres of existing and producing vineyard. And then Mr. Aryeh's home site is right there. And this area is really steep and not usable for ag and has, native plants on it and stuff.
Can you
So,
tell us what kind of trees are those under that vineyard on the left corner? Those trees?
On lot
The trees.
34?
Yeah, on 34. What's on?
Yeah, you're talking about up here?
Yeah, what are those?
Those are oak trees.
Oak trees, that's what I thought. Okay.
Here's the ag road that goes up. And this is a little bit of a canyon-ish feature. And it has oak trees in it. So we're staying away from that as far as the ag goes. It's steep and it has the native trees in there. And then this is a steep hillside that's mostly grassy and some native plants. And then up here is flat and that's the cultivated area.
so lot 34, just to be clear, it's not currently under contract and it's not being proposed in the future to be under contract.
It's not currently under contract but we might consider trying to put it under contract in the future.
Yeah, I guess just to the question is, at least currently, contract 17 and 18, that it's not part of either of those contracts. So the discussion that we've been having about combining those two contracts in a single one, it wouldn't affect the owner's long-term interest to build his dream home on lot 34 because it's not under contract and it's not going to come into play.
Right. I guess you could combine 17 and 18 into one ag preserve contract and leave the upper lot out still.
In my mind, that's what I was
So
thinking the conversation was.
David, wouldn't that still be the prime contract?
Actually, it would be both of those. Well, I guess we would look to you because it's like 51.7 and 48.2. So how the
Yeah.
math goes. Is it 100 acres or under
But
100
that would
acres?
be a significant difference if it would qualify as a non-prime contract.
Let's say it was just 99 acres. I think it would still, you probably would have, because you could still qualify the entirety as a principal animal boarding and breeding, meet your 20 acres of irrigated, then all the vineyard is just extra.
Do that without even having to add 3 additional irrigated pasture.
Right, because you've got the irrigated pasture over on contract 18.
Also, we should consider the future vineyard at the site and all the other developments.
Right. And as far as the winery, you have a certain percentage of, based on the case production at the winery that they're proposing, that 51% of the grapes from the case production need to come from that contract or other contracts that the owner has. And so you'd have to look at those numbers. And then obviously for the uniform rules, there's a percentage of 20%, I think it's 20% of the case production needs to come from grapes on parcel where the winery is. And so if they were all one contract, it would be on the same. That would be easy. Yeah, I mean, that is one option. And like I said, the other option is for contract 17 to see if you can identify and bring into production an additional 3 acres of irrigated pasture so that you could meet that minimum 20 acres. Yeah, Alex said, I think the least desirable and more costly is some type of lot line adjustment. That I think there's easier ways to achieve what the landowners.
Today, we're not officially looking at lot 17 or at contract 17. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So for contract 18, we need to provide you the documentation regarding installation of that vineyard.
That would be helpful since you also still have the Williamson Act questionnaires in draft form. That would probably be best if you complete the Williamson Act questionnaire for contract 18 and submit that along to the assessor's office and to APAC along with the copy of the purchase order for the vines or whenever you receive that.
David, reading the minutes
Mhm.
from last year, there was a request to bring a narrative describing the impacts of winery and vineyard to the horse breeding operation, facilities, and also descriptions of the looks like tasks and duties of the ag employees. I don't know if we got any.
We did in the packet, they did submit information for the ag employees. So we do have that in our box. I think in the minutes, that was the discussion that was I think at that point, the application for the winery was on contract 18. But it raised similar issues that we're talking about today on contract 17, how it would affect the principal animal boarding and breeding. And I think that's
What we discussed today.
right. And I think, yes, if we get to that point, I would turn to council to see whether or not we're not agendized for contract 17, but it may elevate to needing to send a notice to appear to get more information for that. Whether or not we have the ability to make a motion to send a notice to appear letter for contract 17. We do that today. That might be something that would just put into motion getting more information about contract 17.
Right, we could come back and talk about contract 17. Right. Hopefully maybe with some additional irrigated pasture space identified there.
And so our understanding, just to switch back to the winery application, or as Apex agenda, we had continued it, as you know, multiple times. And based on information from development review, we dropped the item because of issues with the application or whether it was uncertain whether it was going to be, the application was going to be dropped or it was going to be put on hold. We, at least for Apex purposes, dropped that portion from our agenda and followed up with the notice to appear to get the ongoing eligibility information. But going back to the winery application on this contract, what's the status? Is it going to be moving forward through development review?
It is going to be, but for now, it's on hold. We're not actively pursuing it, but we intend to continue forward with that.
So if we were to continue this so that you can have time to obtain a copy of the purchase order for the vines and complete the Williamson Act questionnaire for contract 18, how much time do you think you would need?
Not long. I think those papers are already available to us right now, so you could probably put us on the next
Probably
agenda.
within a couple of weeks.
You're with the June agenda, that would be okay?
Yeah, and I don't know if you could put the notice to appear regarding 17 and put it all on the same meeting.
it might be easier just because there's some time for the APAC chair to send the notice to appear and get that out. It may not occur in a timely manner, so we may continue this item to July. And that would, I think, provide time also for the notice to appear to land on that same hearing date.
Mhm. That's good. I don't know if you have any questions for Mr. Newton and Mr. Aryeh today. I might not bring them every time. If-
No, unless they have questions of us. I mean, in terms of, I think we kind of laid out probably fewer concerns and issues on contract 18, which the notice to appear today was for, but on 17, I think there's decisions that for your ag operation there that would need to be made and identified that we're seeking to ensure that it can meet the minimum irrigated pasture requirements, if that's the direction that would go. So, but yeah, if we're certainly available for any additional questions.
Process for combining the two contracts into one, does that look like?
I think it would just be a replacement contract because anytime the external boundaries change of either, contract, you have to get a replacement contract. Does that make sense? So you would
Yeah.
just get a replacement contract that would combine both parcels.
Consider that as an option, but I think finding some additional irrigated pasture is probably the easiest path forward for contract 17.
And then, okay. So probably, I think we can take two motions we take one on the ongoing eligibility for contract 18 and then a separate motion on notice to the appear. So first, before we make a motion, is there any public comment on this item?
David, we do not have any public comment.
Okay, thank you. So for considering ongoing eligibility of contract 16 AP 018, that the committee continue this item until the July APAC meeting to provide opportunity for the owners to complete the Williamson Act questionnaire and submit a copy of the purchase order invoice for the proposed vineyard or vines to be installed. So that would be the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Could we have roll call, please?
Who seconded that?
Alex.
Alex, okay. So Matt Mayton,
Aye.
Glenn, Nar,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
and then David Lackey.
Aye.
Vote carries to 5-0.
Great, thank you. And then on the separate item that the APAC would request, the APAC chair send a notice to appear to the property owners of contract 16 AP 017 to provide information on ongoing eligibility.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Matt Mayton,
Aye.
Glenn Gunnar,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
and then David Lackey,
Aye.
and then the vote carries 5-0.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for appearing today. Thank you for the information. All right, moving on. The next item on our agenda is Verizon Lompoc FCI. And Kathleen Volpe is the planner. Not sure if Kathleen is online or maybe the agent.
Good morning, the agent on the call.
And good morning. I'm also on the call as well.
Maybe Kathleen, if you can give a quick overview of the project and then the agent can provide additional information.
Sure. Thank you. So, good morning. So yeah, this project, just as it's a request for a new 100-foot co-locatable monopole, for Verizon. The property has an ag preserve contract 70 AP 043. The project also includes a lease area of 30 foot by 30 feet, and there will be some ground equipment and a generator on site. The electrical facilities will be pulled from a pole located on the parcel. Yeah, and then as far as there hasn't been any ESH or anything like that that's been a part of this as well. So it's that's about it.
Thank you for that. And the agent, was there any additional information you'd like to provide?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Armando Montes with Sequoia Deployment Services, representing Verizon Wireless. Thank you, Kathleen. You pretty much summed it up pretty well. I just also want to point out that the portion of the property that we'll be located on isn't currently used for any active agriculture. It's just space mostly used for storage, and there's a single residence nearby. But other than that, where the project is going isn't won't impact any active agriculture, I should say.
Okay, thank you. Not sure if we have like an aerial photo in the packet, Kathleen. That was just before on the site plan.
We don't have a site plan for this. Did you? No. No site plan was submitted for this project.
Apologies on that. I thought that it was I do have a site plan, but I don't know if we can share my screen.
Yes, just give us 1 second.
Okay,
The
I'll-
text box is covering a portion of the contract.
Okay, Kathleen, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, hold on one moment. I'm going to bring it up.
Oh, I guess it is. Oh, never mind. It was on the Ross Barnes.
Okay, so here is the site plan that I have. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
And so DeWolf Road is here, and then there are a couple, there's a existing single family dwelling here and some buildings over here, existing dwelling, and then surrounded field areas. I can zoom in too if you'd like.
So just, I was just looking at the aerial.
Mhm.
So Kathleen, just for that site plan where the tower and the lease area is that in the area where looks like there's a principal residence and then some ag barns?
Yeah, it's actually like a secondary residence. There's the principal residence is over here. And yeah, there's a couple ag barns and an additional residence to the right, located over 100 feet from the proposed monopole.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm gonna just share my screen real quick to show the Google Earth.
Okay.
Should be good to go.
So just to confirm I'm in the correct location, Kathleen, is this the area where the lease area is going to be?
Yes, correct. Kind of by that large tree
Okay,
right behind it. Yep.
sort of in that southwest corner of the lot.
Closer to the barn, so a little bit farther up.
Farther up north.
Yep, right about there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and as far as just everything, the property is 108, or the contract is 118 acres, pretty much entirely in row crops. So we don't have any concern or issues with ongoing eligibility of the commercial ag. I think the envelope where the residence is meets the 2 acre minimum, even though it's not drawn, I think just by the scale of the area. I don't think it's not exceeding that. Any other comments or questions from committee members on this one? Teresa, do we have any members of the public who would like to speak on this item?
We do not have any members of the public.
Okay, yeah, I think everything's pretty straightforward on this, so I'll make a motion that the APEC find the request for the cellular site and tower consistent with the uniform rules, including Rule 2-9, and that contract 70 AP 043 meets ongoing eligibility requirements.
I will second.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, so Matt Mayton,
Aye.
Glenn Nar,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
and then David Lackey.
Aye.
And then vote carries 5-0.
Okay, great. Thank you for attending. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
And then our next item is Ross Barn, so also in Lompoc area. Soren Kringle is the planner. Do we have?
Yeah. I just came from another meeting. Yeah, I think the applicant may be in the hearing room today. I'm not sure.
Charles Ross is here.
Yes.
Awesome.
Soren, do you want to just give a quick overview and then Mr. Ross can provide his information?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, it's a pretty simple project. It's just for the construction of a 1,500 square foot barn on the residence. Let's see if we can see it on these aerials. Yeah, zoom right in where you're going. He already has a number of existing legal non-conforming, or they're just existing structures on the parcel. You scroll up just a bit. Yeah, right down there. And the barn will be located to the east, generally, of where those existing structures are. And then to the south, it's my understanding that the parcel is leased out to another ag production company. But yeah, I'll turn it over to Charles. He's got a better understanding of exactly the operations out there.
Hi, Mr. Ross.
Yes, okay, it's leased out to Campbell Farm Ranches. And they also are leasing out the next parcel to the south, that big field there. And they're doing the one to the right. And then across the road, they're doing the big one over there. It used to be Barge's Farm. I don't know who owns it now. Yeah, the one with all the strawberries.
And now that we have the aerial, so Mr. Ross, so that we at least can focus where the barn, can you tell us where the barn is going to be on relationship to this photo?
I guess.
I can step in. I mean, it'll be to the right of those, based off the site plans provided, it'll be to the right of those long rusted structures. Yeah, right in that area.
Okay, great. Thank you. No, thank you. Appreciate it. So the property is 24.21 acres. And I did look on my photo mapper wasn't working on this computer, but previously I did look, and there is an adjoining contract where our uniform rules allow, if you have less than 40 acres, if you have at least 20 acres, and there's an adjoining 20 acre or more contract, you can qualify. So it does meet that requirement, even though this parcel is only 24 acres. Oh, good. Yeah. So the adjoining property to the east.
For AP 033 contract.
Okay, great. Yes. Yeah, so here's Verisma Road, heading out to 246 to the east. Here's the Y. Yeah, I think it looks pretty straightforward. Any questions, concerns?
What's the purpose of the barn?
Okay, I'm going to be storing some, I bought a tractor so I can do some more ag work above the old place. And I've got a rototiller, I got a scraper and a small trailer. And it's 24 horse Branson 2400H. I got bought used and brought down from Oregon.
So agriculture, not personal.
No, it's agricultural, yes.
Great, thank you.
I might stick a car in there once, but that's about it.
Mr. Ross, I know you used to do more walnuts on there, and I think our record in the assessor's office was you were down to 1 acre of walnuts. Is that still, and you're mostly doing other irrigated crops now?
Yes, it's going to be organic gardening, farming there by Campbell Ranch. And right at the moment, it's they just turned under the last crop of mustard that they turned in as getting rid of their nematode that they suspect is in there. Yes, from all the walnut.
Mr. Ross, did you complete and submit the annual Williamson Act questionnaire for this contract?
Yes, and I gave it to, I got.
Okay, we have. Okay, great. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was submitted, but thank you.
Actually, my brother did, but
No, we greatly appreciate that. Any questions, Alex? Okay. Teresa, do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on this item?
We do not have any public comment.
Okay, great. So I will make a motion that the committee find the request for the agricultural barn consistent with the uniform rules, and that contract 74 AP 042 meets ongoing eligibility requirements.
I will second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Could we have roll call, please?
Yes, so Matt Mayton,
Aye.
Glenn Ganar,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Royce Larson,
Aye.
David Lackey,
Aye.
and the vote carries 5-0.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ross, for being here in person. Appreciate it.
thanks.
All right, so that concludes our regular agenda. Any reports of committee members? So Glenn, the long-awaited publishing of the assessor's report, is that going to be sort of like the end of July for the Ag Preserve? Report?
I'll defer to Sergio on that. He
Okay.
doesn't, he pretty much takes control of that whole thing, so. That's the summary in various ways, of, by contract. and all
Right,
that.
yeah, where you could search it by
Yeah.
APN or contract number and.
Yeah, he doesn't involve us in that. So I think he uses our computer IT people, and they, he gives them help in
Right.
completing it.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure exactly when. I knew it was kind of mid to the end of summer when we generally get.
Yeah,
that.
I think it's after our roll closed.
Right.
typically.
Okay,
Well,
great.
you know what, David, I can just make a quick announcement. June 18th, we're on the Board of Supervisor agenda presenting our 2023 annual crop production report.
Oh, okay, great.
If anyone's interested in hearing that, we have a little presentation we're going to be giving. We haven't done that in many years.
Yeah, no, that'll be good to see what the top crop is. It's like Fat Bear Week. You get a vote for anticipating what the top crop is going to be each year. All right, any other reports? All right, thank you, everyone. With that, we'll close today's meeting. Thank you.
Hold on. I thought we had sorry, this is Brett Pursuit. I'm just civilian, don't quite understand these processes, but we had a preliminary kind of question. We were put on the docket today. It was for an ADU site location.
That's not on our agenda today. Is that that was on the April agenda and no one showed up for it and it was dropped from the agenda?
They invited us today. I had been in contact. Sorry about the April. We were never notified. I had been reaching out to the planner who put us on there, and they had put us on for today. I got the invite to this one.
Actually, David, I have the agenda printed out here, and it says that it's item number 4.
The published agenda that we have only has 3 items.
But I do see a folder.
Sorry, guys.
No.
No, that's- yeah.
We were just going off on the agenda in front of us.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
In the attachments, there's a folder for 72 AP 115.
Right, but I'm just more concerned about which version was the published agenda.
The one that has 3 items.
Right.
You know what? I can see,
Yeah, it looks like it was
Teresa has the internal drive one, which was the most updated, but it looks like that was not uploaded to the APAC folder. So that might have been on me then.
Okay. maybe we'll turn to council on what our
Which one was published?
options.
Which was
This is
published
just
for
kind of a
public?
preliminary one. It wasn't like anything binding. We just had some questions and
So, but just Jonathan, the published version you think is the one that had the 3 items and not Mr.
3 items and not the 4th.
If you want to just take some preliminary questions and take no action at all, I mean, you can hear
Treat it like a discussion
Gentlemen,
item or just
that it's
Yeah,
question.
that-
No, you're not doing anything with it. It'll have to be properly agendized for any sort of action. But if you want to just
okay.
give general responses.
And I
Yeah,
believe the
appreciate
applicant was
that.
just coming here for a discussion item as well. It was no approval for any permit applied
That's
for.
right. That's right. Yeah, it's a real preliminary and when I reached out to the front desk at planning, they said is you can get on as like a question item, which I think was what was set up for. They apparently didn't notify us on that first one in April, so apologize on that one. I was following up and they put us on this one.
Okay. So Mr. Pursuit, I know that you submitted a lot of information. Is there a map or something of what that would be most useful for aiding the discussion?
Yeah, there is a site plan that was uploaded. I'm sure if you have access to that folder. Not that one. Let's see.
Master plan revised. I have a map.
To not the parcel map. It's going to be, I think there's 109 master, about 3-4 taps over to the left. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so basically, and I saw it might be like the first time you guys have even dealt with this. I know that ADUs in Ag 2 zones is relatively new. I think that got approved last year, the year before. And so this is like a master plan we kind of inherited with the site. And on that northeast corner, where it's a lot busier, existing primary residence is there. Gentleman named Ed has been there since I think the 60s. He's got about 2 acres and change. The site is 104.63 acres. And so there had been like a guest house envelope kind of pinned right next to him there. And last year that site burned. There's like a 123 acre burn. You can see that I think the other burn map attached. There's also been some sloughing, that one of that first pictures that showed me next to it, a big subsidence in the road. So that zone's pretty scary to, think about building on if it's burned and moved a lot, Whereas towards the southwest corner, the original master plan going back to like 60s or 70s, back when you could do 5 homes on 100 acres, had some proposed sites up there. There's already water tanks, roads, power to the neighbors up there. And we wanted to see if we could pursue that as an ADU site to avoid the burning and the sliding and the privacy encroachment on Ed, and just be on a better piece of ground, So I'm just, like I said, a civilian. I don't quite understand the whole planning process, but it looks like the Williamson Act is for 100 acres or more. This is like close to 105. So if Ed's got 2 and change, and we're only moving like an 800 square foot envelope to a 1,200 square foot envelope from a guest house to an ADU, it seems like we'd still have ample 100 acres to comply with the Williamson Act. And that was the major kind of thrust of the of our application to be on this agenda.
So, yeah, so this parcel's in Hollister Ranch.
That's right.
And is this property part of the cattle co-op?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So for the uniform rules, and or maybe just a clarifying question. So is it that there was a location for a guest house, but there's never been a guest house constructed?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The theoretic spot, it had been part of like his fenced off area, and that fire roasted the wooden posts, so it's no longer, you know, fenced. There's still some wire we gotta get out of there. But yeah, it was a proposed site, but nothing's ever been built there.
Right. So for the uniform rules, yes, you would be allowed an ADU, but the uniform rules expressly state that the ADU needs to be located within or clustered with the principal dwelling in the non-ag development envelope. So around where the single family residence is, the uniform rules allows you to have a 2-acre kind of polygon for personal use, that it can include the house, any personal use structures or gardens and things. And so within that 2-acre, what we call an envelope, that's where the ADU would need to be located.
So I got a reply from Mark Walter saying that planning can't require the ADU to be in the envelope. I don't know if that's a different set of rules as the uniform rules.
Well, we have heard from our council is that because the Williamson Act and the Ag Preserve contract is a voluntary program that the landowner enters into, they're subject to the uniform rules. And so the uniform rules does have a direct, provides a direction of where the ADU can be located. And so, as I stated, it needs to be within that 2-acre envelope.
Okay. And so if we were to withdraw it from the Williamson Act, would we be able to place it on the other area if you're outside of the, not that that's the thing we want to pursue anytime soon, but I'm just wondering what the option sets are.
Well, yeah, so the agriculture preserve contracts, they're a rolling 10-year contract. So at any point in time, the landowner requested to non-renew. That's the process to get out of the ag preserve contract. Once that gets recorded, then it counts down from essentially 9 more full years that you're under contract until the contract is expired. And you still need to be in compliance with the uniform rules, even if you're in non-renewal for those remaining 9 years. So that's a consideration.
Okay. So it's a rolling 10-year. So just basically it automatically renews.
Correct, unless there's some action taken to non-renew it.
Okay, so it's always active, more or less. So for those remaining 9 years, we'd be still benefiting from the tax basis, but couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, your tax assessment does ramp up during that time period up until whatever your current market value or Prop 13 value, whatever, I guess, once at the end of the contract.
So is it prorate or something during those 9 years, or what's the?
This is Glenn from the assessor's office. It's heavily weighted on the front end, so it does eventually hit the Prop 13 value, but it's not a linear progression. It's it can depend on the contract, but a lot of it comes in the early years of the non-renewal. So
Gotcha. Okay. And so the Prop 13 we based upon Ed's home value when he built it, more or less.
the Prop 13 values, yeah, are established when the property changed ownership, a base was set, or when a new home was constructed, it got a base. And those bases get factored every year. So there's a report that we can always provide that shows you what your bases are. You wanted to contact the assessor's office, we can provide that report.
Okay. Let's see. Now, the uniform rules you mentioned, are those just like county development rules?
So yeah, the uniform rules are for the county's agriculture preserve program. So the county's been participating in the state program since 1967. And so for those jurisdictions that are participating in the ag preserve programs, they're required to adopt rules, local rules of how they will enter into contracts and set the rules for compatible uses on those contracted lands. And so the uniform rules are essentially the county board of supervisors adopts those rules to implement the ag preserve program. And they're separate from zoning ordinance requirements, and the uniform rules may be more restrictive than
Gotcha.
zoning ordinance requirements.
Gotcha. Okay. You guys see any changes in that coming? It's been around since the 60s, not probably not changing.
There are periodic updates to the uniform rules, and even, specifically to ADUs, since that's relatively recent.
Right.
Over the last several years, there've been some language added to the uniform rules of how ADUs would be allowed on contracted lands. But, as far as ADUs or any other changes, there aren't any in the near term.
Okay. Guess that's really it. Scott, do you have any questions? I got my partner on the line also.
No, I'm all set. Thank you, Brett.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate. Sorry for the confusion, but
Yeah, no worries.
I'm glad you hung on there and made us aware of it. And
Yeah.
and
We showed us this at the front end. I'm like, oh, great. Then definitely learned something about the process along the way. So it's all
right. Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And so we've already done committee reports, so we will adjourn. Oh, sorry. Yes.
What if they just do it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're off. Yeah, let's.
Okay. So meeting's adjourned.
Well, what if somebody just